Yeah, good morning, brothers and sisters. Depend on where you are. I bet Mona come listing for wetin happen for the kind place when our president Buhari where they go for one place when this man come dey talk dey yarn. This man name na Japa something Japa Weaver. He tell them the truth. Their mouth open. They no fit close am again because the truth is bitter. He tell them say the way with this our country be so the thing no dey go well. Make dem make sure say make dem do things right. Make dem do things right. Okay, I go leave una make una watch this video. Make una watch this news. Make una see how this man take talk to them because this video too long. I no go fit explain am to una make una hear. Depend on where you are, una just lis ten to this video and don't forget to share this video so that other people fit still see am. Thank you.
May I invite my Lord Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka. Your Excellencies, Mr. President and the Vice President and our brother, friend, the former President of Kenya, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that many of you may already be nervous as to what Bishop Kuka is going to say. I feel like Miriam Makeba, the late Miriam Makeba. She said that every time I stand up to speak, they will say, here comes the troublemaker. But President Uhuru Kenyatta, I really want to thank you. I mean, your most eloquent speech struck a chord. And had I received a copy of your speech earlier, I think that even that alone should have broadened the scope of our conversation. As you can see, the Sultan and I are different. He's taller than me. He has a much more regal appearance. And he's spoken to you about the caliphate and its wonderful values. I'm a citizen of Nigeria living in Sokoto, but I'll come from a slightly different perspective, from the point of view of constitutionalism and constitutional governance and how all this fit into religion. Because I think the temptation for many of us is to assume that somehow religion is a problem. And I think the former president's speech made the point very clear that religion, just like any other form of identity, whether it's ethnicity, religion, gender, the real problem is when these categories are left unattended to. It is then that they provoke problems. So I really think that we must appreciate the fact that all the values and the temptations, the trials that the people of Kenya have gone through. In summary, what struck me very powerfully was the idea of the tyranny of numbers, the tyranny of victory. And if I may add, the arrogance and the triumphalism that tends to characterize victory, and how dangerous all these are. Because numbers are important, but they're only important up to a point. And the real challenge is what you do and how you aggregate these numbers for national development. And I think Nigeria and Africa in general must wake up to the threat that is posed by the emergence of what you call illiberal democracy. 20 years ago, this word was not talked about, but now it is in the vocabulary of political science, that there is a resurgence of democracies that look like democracies but don't work like democracies. They conduct elections, they have judiciaries, they have political parties, but in the final analysis, they are a halfway house between the values of democracy and dictatorship and tyranny. And I think that the guest speaker has given us all the ingredients we require to be able to walk through the challenges. And I saw the vice president-elect smiling. He's somebody I already know, and I appreciate the depth of his intellect and his capacity to process a lot of the issues that are on the table. There are many people, including Christians, who will be disappointed that Bishop Kuka is standing here because a lot has been made out of the fact that we are dealing with a Muslim set of people who have won the elections. What are the implications of this for Nigeria? And of course, with one side of our mouth, we also say as Nigerians that we want people to be able to govern us, who love us, who cherish us, and who understand the principles of the management of diversity. Now, we will not be nervous, and we really should not be nervous about the future. Not only because it is in the hands of God, but I think that the greatest value, and I hope that this lecture that has been delivered by Uhuru Kenyatta, although unfortunately, sir, you've been in Nigeria twice, but we're not yet Uhuru. We are aspiring. We're not yet Uhuru yet. But I hope that it provides the incoming government with the texture, the material that it requires, because how to build a good society is not a complicated thing. It is not a complicated thing. And the principles and the question, because one of the things that SGF said to me was also the fact that we'll be talking about the fact that as Nigerians, we are better together. Everybody knows that we are better together. But the first question to ask is, who are we? After 9/11, the American political scientists were asking the question, who are we? Because there was a problem in terms of who people are. And I think if you live in Nigeria, all of us know. And this is why those who listen to me will attest to the fact that I don't like to talk about religion, in part because I don't believe there is a religious problem. But somehow the Western media, the Nigerian media, and the political elite have assumed the fact that there is something between religions and that there is a conflict between religions. There is absolutely no conflict between religions. I said to people, assuming, for example, we all have knives in our houses. Assuming you come back from work and your wife is in the kitchen and she comes to welcome you with a knife in her back with which she's been slicing onions, you will have no problem entering the house. But if you had a fight with your wife before you left the house and your husband comes back and knocks on the door and you see your wife with a knife, you will pull back. So knives by themselves are not a problem. It's what you do with them. In the same way that, identities are not a problem. Identities are not a problem. It's how you activate those identities and what you do with them. Now, will I be walking around Nigeria and people say to me, we worry about you being in Sokoto, and when I speak, I can tell a million stories. And I give you an example, what happened in Sokoto, with the tragic story of Deborah. I had gone for a burial of the father of one of my priests, and I was on my way back in a car when I got a call to say that one of my priests called me to say, look, this is what is happening. And I got to Abuja, and I got telephone calls from everywhere. Where are you? I said, I'm in Abuja. He said, I hope you remain in Abuja. I hope you're not going back to Sokoto anytime soon. My family members who called me, I said, so what am I supposed to do? No, remain in Abuja. Some people say, leave the country. And I said, to go where? And people could not understand. When I had to go back to Sokoto the next day, people said to me, I had to just tell my friend, where are you? I told them I'm in Abuja. But when I got to Sokoto, I walked to my house. And for me, it's a very powerful image. As I entered my house, just as I got to the gate, I saw an armored tank, soldiers, their numbers, guarding my house. And I was touched. I came out of the vehicle and I greeted all the soldiers. I shook all of them. But I saw from their faces, they looked to me very much like Fulani people, the soldiers who were guarding my house, by their height and so on. So when I went in, then later in the evening, I came back and I started talking to them. There were about 12 or 14 of them. First of all, I looked at them with all the equipment that they're in my house. After we greeted, I went back. At about 6:30 to 7, I came out, stood by my balcony, and I saw all of them doing their ablution.